Okay, so it says that we're live at 1:48, 1:49. Yeah. So but it still says on my phone waiting. There I am. And for half a second I saw me and then it went black and now I'm on the screen again. So, I guess we're ready to talk about this then. So, I've got something new for this channel, something I've never opened one of these before. It's from a whole new line of action figures for this channel. Like I've never opened it. I think this is the second wave of them, but I've never opened any of them before. And it's from a toy company that I don't think I've opened. I've not opened anything for them before. I don't think I've even talked about them before, except for maybe a little bit, maybe vaguely here and there. So this is Legends of Dragonore, Venatica, Heroic Huntress of Dragons. So you can see there's like a old dragon looking over. And to those of you who are 80s kids, you're going to look at this package and be like, well, that looks kind of familiar. That looks kind of like a Masters of the Universe package. The bubbles shaped kind of vaguely the same. The proportions of the package are shaped vaguely the same. The logo definitely has some of the style of the old 80s action figure logos, especially Masters of the Universe. The layout of it with, they got the name of it and then the name of the character and then a brief description of the character. Very similar to Masters of the Universe. We look at the back. The layout on the back is very similar to Masters of the Universe. Now, if this was a figure that was made in the 1980s, we would refer to it as a knockoff of Masters of the Universe. It would be in the same realm as Warlord and Galaxy Warriors and Warrior Beasts and all this sort of thing. But since it's made here in the 21st century by people who are my age and grew up playing with the original toys, this is more of an homage. This is more of a tribute. This is more of a Masters of the Universe cover band. And in fact, the original plans for these, if you look at some of them, is they had a lot of character designs that were based on earlier unused concepts from Masters of the Universe. Bobby Wald is here and Al Davis is here. I want to acknowledge both of those fellas before I move on any further, since I'm just doing word vomit right now. I'm just going over some stuff, but yeah. So they originally had characters that were designed very much based on, say, like I'm trying to remember. There was like ones that looked like the early Mark Taylor and Roger Sweet designs of He-Man. There was a character that looked a lot like Keldor. That sort of thing. So it was kind of obvious where they were going with that. And I think what happened was Mattel stepped in and did a cease and desist, like, whoa, guys, this is a little too close to some of our stuff. You got to not do this. Sounds like some thunder and lightning. So hopefully not interrupt my show too much. Although for once, I'm not going to complain about the rain, because the weather here has been horrible lately. It's been hot everywhere, but I'll tell you, here in my part of the world, like it's there's been no breeze and everything's just been stagnant and the heat's been sitting there. And I work overnight, and a lot of the times I will be working outside overnight, and I don't even get the respite of it getting cool during the night like it usually does. The heat just hangs there and it's oppressive. And I'm glad that that we're actually getting some rain, but hopefully won't be a power outage on this episode, because I don't like it when that happens. So yeah, but yeah, like Mattel putting a cease to those plans did not stop Formo Toys from making their Masters of the Universe like line, and that's a good thing. And I think it was better for the line, because it forced them to get a little more creative. They couldn't just ape what Mattel had as far as unproduced product. They had to come up with their own things, and I think they came up with some things that were really cool, and we're going to talk about those in a little bit. Max Games and Toys is here. All right. And I've been enjoying a lot of your content lately, my friend, with a lot of the shorts about the Masters of the Universe movie, like a lot of good stuff you've been putting up. And Al Davis says, have you seen a UFO at night and been half sunburned a la Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Not yet. So yeah, I have had my eye on this line for a while, and they've been doing some cool stuff. And in fact, going back to Galaxy Warriors, they make their own line of Galaxy Warriors figures called Warriors of the Galaxy. I don't know if there's some kind of legal loophole there where they maybe the names are still trademarked, but they can get away with using the designs. But you know, a lot of those Galaxy Warrior designs are ripped off from Frank Frazetta paintings anyway, so that's probably fine. And then Formo Toys actually has a line of Frank Frazetta figures coming out where they've got, I think it might already be out, the Executioner, and they've got the Egyptian Princess, which I have actually 2 of those pre-ordered because I have plans for them. And one of them's going to just stay the Egyptian Princess. The other one's going to get some custom work done with her. And that's going to be an expensive custom, but it's going to be worth it. It's so going to be worth it. And let's see. So yeah, and then the Frazetta Girls website, they have their own Motu type Frazetta figures, which I do have Conan on the way from that. There's a standard version which is getting put into like a lot of Big Bad Toy Store will have them. That's the Conan with the helmet, but I wanted the Conan without the helmet, and that is exclusive to the Frazetta Girls website, so I ordered it from there. And I've got more Motu type figures that I'm going to be opening up in the near future with Conan and some other surprises. But depending on how this unboxing goes, I'll probably order more of these. I think that this line looks kind of interesting on its own, and I would like to open up some of the Galaxy Warriors figures they got coming out and talk about those. Max Games and Toys asks, is this an expensive 80s Motu bootleg? Well, yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, is that, like, I think you might have missed that part, is that if this was released in the 80s, we would call this a knockoff. This is very solid. It would be like just like Galaxy Warriors and Warlord and really any other kind of pseudo Motu line that came out during that time, something to cash in on it, you know what I mean? But here in the 21st century, I kind of feel like it's more of an homage, it's more of a tribute than a knockoff. And Al Davis says, today you hear a video with a sunburned Two-Face look. I'll know, Alan. I'll know. Yes, indeed. But I don't sunburn easily, is all I'm saying. I have a naturally olive complexion, as it is. So, Max Games and Toy says Formo is doing great with Frazetta. Yes, indeed. Those figures look awesome. And like I said, I've got that Egyptian Queen pre-ordered, but she's not going to show up for a while. I got her pre-ordered in Big Bad Toy Store, and I think she's supposed to come out in December. So that's going to be a long wait. But hey, I'm ready when she comes, so that's good. And Bong Donkey is here. It's been a while since we've seen Bong Donkey, and Bong Donkey says hello to everyone. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit more about this figure, specifically Venatica, the Huntress of Dragons, and she is a black lady, and she's wearing armor that looks like it's made from dragon skin and a helmet that looks like it's made from bones, probably dragon bones. We'll get a better look at that later. And it's got a little green flash on it that says includes 2 parts of the divine armor of power. And I'm guessing I got to buy the rest of these figures to get the rest of the divine armor of power. And these are some cool looking figures anyway, so I might wind up buying them. I especially like Horror Dame, because she looks like a witch, and that's pretty cool. That's something that I kind of feel like fits in. All these fit in with like 80s type Masters of the Universe. So this guy, especially, he just looks like Moss Man. We got another Moss Man here, folks. And this guy has some Stratos kind of feel to him, but also like he's like a Native American, and I think that's cool. That's something that, like, you know, that fills a void. We don't have a Native American Motu character, really, do we? And then Terraptor. So he's like a dinosaur-looking guy, dragon-looking guy, however you want to look at that. And Bruterror Caveman, this guy's more of like an army builder, I think. They've got like a 3-pack with 3 cavemen in there like that. And they're all pretty cool designs. The caveman actually reminds me a lot of the kind of Neanderthal characters that were like the bad guys' henchmen in Fire and Ice. They worked for the bad guys in that. Like so kind of an homage to that, I guess. But yeah, Haradame definitely looks like she could have been in Masters of the Universe or Princess of Power. She would have fit right in with either one of those lines. And then like not Mossman and not Stratos. But even then, like I'd say, like, you know, even though this guy obviously has some homage to Stratos, he's kind of unique in his own way. And then the build-a figure we have over here, the Divine Armor of Power. It says each figure comes with 1 or 2 parts from the Divine Armor of Power. Collect them all and connect them to form the unstoppable Divine Armor of Power. Now, you know that I am a huge fan of Jack Kirby, probably the greatest comic book artist of all time. And this is a very Jack Kirby type design. So I think that that's very cool. Al Davis says, what do you think? Were you hinting at the SDCC exclusive Motu figures for Skeletor? If you mean Jim Bro Skeletor, I definitely want to pick that up. But that's not one of the ones I was hinting at, because that is an actual Motu figure. We got more Motu-like figures on the way. And I might open up one of those this week. And I already mentioned Conan, so Conan's on the way. Plus, I don't know if I mentioned this before, Big Bad Toy Store has I pre-ordered from that also. Boss Fight Studios is doing their own Motu style Conan figures. So I'll have the Frazetta Girls Conan, and I'll have the Boss Fight Conan, which was supposed to ship in June. Then it got moved to late June, and now apparently it's not coming out in June at all. It's allegedly coming out in July now, but we'll see. We'll see. And I will be comparing the 2 Conan figures to each other, as well as some of my own custom Conan figures, because I do have my my own Frazetta version of Conan that I've been working on. So Al Davis says, is his name Arms Like Tentacle or Sitting Squid? Which one? So, but yeah, so I don't see a squid guy on here, but a squid guy would be a good addition, wouldn't they? Make a Cthulhu type figure for this line. I think that would be really cool. Max Games and Toys says, so yeah, that would be a good reason for a cease and desist right there. Max Games and Toys says, did you know they received a cease and desist letter from Mattel for lying in their commercials and saying that Legends of Dragonore were spinoffs of Motu, implying that they were continuing Motu? Yeah, see, that would be a thing that they would Mattel would definitely not want to have that going on. But my look at it with that was that you notice, like, not long after the Formo Toys announced their initial line and Mattel put the kibosh on it, that's when we started to see the sketchbook figures from Mattel. So I think that for one thing, that was a move to protect their intellectual property. Well, now we are making toys based on our unproduced designs. But for another thing, I think they realized there was a market for that. That if there's this little rinky-dink startup toy company that's wanting to do figures based on these designs we haven't used yet, maybe we should, actually use them. So I think that wound up being a win-win. I think that Formo was better off coming up with their own original ideas than copying the ones that Mattel already had. And I think we're better off with actual official Mattel versions of those unproduced designs. So I think that, yeah, that whole situation, I think it's an absolute win. And, would we even have this Venatica figure right now if they hadn't gotten that cease and desist? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I thought she looked really cool. And I kind of figured this kind of filled a void in my Masters of the Universe collection. So she'll work with my Masters of the Universe figures. Like she's gonna hang out with them, and she's gonna be part of that group. That's what's gonna happen. But like I've mentioned before, if there was a flaw in the original Masters of the Universe line, is that there wasn't a whole lot of ethnic diversity among the humans. Like, most of the human characters in that line were white people, or at least looked like Caucasian people, and even characters like Zodak, which I will argue to the day I die, Zodak is not human. Zodak is an alien. He's a creature. That Zodak still had Caucasian skin color. But yeah, we didn't get a non-Caucasian human, or at least perceptive. Maybe I don't know. Triclops might have been Asian under that helmet or something, but we didn't get what was perceptively a non-Caucasian human until Jitsu, and Jitsu was a bad guy. And then we didn't get another one until I believe the last line of the last wave of the entire line, where we got Ninjor, who is Asian, who is another bad guy, and we got Clamchamp, finally a black hero. And there certainly weren't any women in the line of any human women of ethnic diversity. I mean, we had Tila and we had the Sorceress, and both of them were Caucasian. And we had and even then Sorceress didn't come till the end. And then we had Evil Lyn, but I don't think Evil Lyn is like supposed to be like a human ethnicity at all, because she's got like bright yellow skin. Not like yellow how some people say Asians are yellow, but like actually like a lemon, like a banana kind of yellow. And visually, she was based off of Sophia Loren, so I figure she'd be Italian if nothing else. But yeah, so we never had a female black character in the original Masters of the Universe line. I know we had Natasha in Princess of Power, but honestly, she's one of those where like the design's a little too girly for me. I have the Classics figure, and I like the Classics figure, but I wanted something that's a little more hardcore, you know? I was always a big fan of the Grace Jones character in Conan the Destroyer, and I wanted a character that was kind of like that. And I kind of feel like this figure is going to kind of feel that niche for me in a way, although I still want my Zula action figure. I'm just saying. Did I say Sean Franklin is here? Sean Franklin is here. I want to say that again if I didn't say that before, because it's always worth noting when Sean Franklin is here. So hi, Sean Franklin. And Max Games and Toys says, I hadn't thought of it that way. You're right about the sketchbook style. That's why it's great talking to you. And hey, that's why it's great talking to you as well. Always a pleasure to have all of you folks here in the chat. Al Davis says, was Jitsu a Jew? No, he wasn't Jits Jew. I'm not sure if any of the, I'm not sure if, like, trying to think of if any of the He-Man characters could be read as Jewish. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't really thought of that. Well, Superman did cross over into the Masters of the Universe world, and of course he's Jewish. So he's met He-Man. Sean Franklin says, have you heard Thundercats live action movie in the works? I had not heard anything specific about that, Sean, but hopefully it turns out to be good. Hopefully they do a good job with it. Hopefully it's enjoyable as the Masters of the Universe movie was. I think like that would be a lot of fun. Max Games and Toy says, I don't think Warriors of the Sun even dared to make a woman. You know, that would have been a cool thing to see too, like a She-Ra equivalent to Sunman, like a Sunman equivalent to She-Ra, I guess I should say. Like that would have been a cool thing to. I'm surprised they didn't do that actually, because they did a lot of other stuff besides Sunman, like the Olmec toys. They did things like bronze bombers, and they did fashion dolls. They did toys for both boys and girls. So you would think it would be a no-brainer for them to do their own version of She-Ra, like a She-Ra to Sunman's He-Man. That would have made sense. So, and then Al Davis says that would have been really cool, actually. Yeah. See, we're all on the same page. So she's got a little bio on the back here, and I think she's got a comic book in here. So we're going to have to read the comic book, and we're going to have to read the bio. So here's the artwork for her. And like I said, she's a cool looking character. I like that design, and I feel like she'll fit in with my Masters of the Universe quite well. And it says, Venatica, heroic huntress of dragons, homeworld Rupestra. Special abilities, telepathy with dragons. Weapon of choice, chained double axe. Well, it's a double-bladed axe and a single-bladed bearded axe, so it's like a triple-bladed axe? I don't know. Let's move on. It is said that whoever slays a dragon is cursed with being hunted by dragons for the rest of their lives. Once a dragon slayer, always a dragon slayer. That was Venatica's destiny. She had embraced it, determined to become the deadliest dragon slayer that had ever existed. Her hate for the ancient creatures was deep and burning, yet nothing prepared her for having dragons as allies. She joined Yondara's forces so she could hunt and kill the greatest dragons. But when Scorchwing declared her allegiance to the chieftain from Endymion, I guess, Venatica had no choice but to choose between her hate and a greater good. The greater good. So yeah, so there's that. I think now we've been over everything on this package, right? So we can go ahead and open her up. And this is an adult collectors, by the way. I'm going to point that out. This is a very nicely done package. The card is nice and thick, and the bubble seems to be adhering to the package, but it doesn't seem like it's adhering to the package enough to destroy the artwork underneath, and that's good because then we get a close look at that dragon, and underneath there's more of that Jack Kirby kind of scribbling there, that sort of Jack Kirby armor design. So, like the original Masters of the Universe line, we got some Jack Kirby influence to it. So I think that this is a comic book that's in here. Oops, I dropped the accessories. Let's set those over here on my desk. So they're not actually taped into the package or anything, so they just kind of fell out when I set the bubble aside. But I'm pretty sure this is a comic book that's in here, because I'm pretty sure these come with comic books. And when I say comic book, I mean that in loosest possible sense. I believe it's something that's more like the first wave of Masters of the Universe mini comics. Yep, where it's more that storybook format. And there's a lovely piece of artwork there. And here we have kind of an early stage Venatica. She doesn't have her dragon armor yet, obviously, because she just killed her first dragon. And it says here, "It is written that whoever slays a dragon would find themselves cursed, being the prey of the mighty winged creatures for the rest of their lives." Didn't we just read that? A fact that did not deter Venatica, who was not only a dragon slayer, but was vehemently determined to become the deadliest dragon slayer that ever existed. Her hatred for the often yet respected and feared creatures burned as powerfully as their dragon fire. And there she is in her full Dragon Slayer regalia, fighting a couple of dragons. And they do have some dragon figures in this line, and obviously they're a little more expensive. But I might try to get one at some point. They do look pretty cool. So where were we? I can have Venatica fight against Granomir or Dragoman. There's all kinds of it's not even actually like an actual stapled together pamphlet. It's like it folds open like this. So that's interesting. All right, so let's move on. So here we got this is the main guy of the line. I forget what his name is, and this is I think the first female figure that they introduced in that line, and that's some very nice detailed artwork that obviously somebody was very passionate about and put a lot of effort into this artwork. So good job. Congratulations to the artist. Is there a credit on this? Hopefully there's a credit on this. I would like to give the artist himself credit. I don't see it. I don't see a credit for the artist. Not in the legalese down here, I don't think. Maybe on the package? Maybe there's some credit for the artist on the package. Figures created by Emiliano Santalucia. Yeah, see, he's done a lot of stuff with Masters of the Universe before. Packaging designed by Emiliano Santalucia, and character art by Matt O'Toole. So I'm not sure which of these gentlemen would be responsible for the artwork in the comic book, but it's very good. I like this artwork. Where was I? I was reading it. Yet nothing had prepared her for the journey she would find herself undertaking upon joining Yondara's forces. I guess Yondara is the other female character. That seems more like a female name to me. Believing this move would enable her to hunt and kill the greatest dragons, Venatica found herself in a quandary. After Scorchwing declared her allegiance to the chieftain from Endymion, the Dragon Slayer was presented with a choice: continue on her hateful path or fight alongside the dragons for the greater good. The greater good. I actually, while this is a nice comic book, I kind of feel like it goes over a lot of the same ground that the bio on the back did. It's basically just her origin story. I think it would have been cooler to see a little bit more of an origin. I'm sorry, I misspoke. A little bit more of an adventure than an origin. Like they could have maybe summed up the origin in like the first page and then just proceeded along and had her, actually do something other than the origin, and that would have been nice. But yeah, I definitely intend to get more of these figures in the future. Unless this one turns out to be a giant piece of crap and breaks when I'm playing around with it, but hopefully that won't happen. But she looks really cool. I'm really excited about this. Let's go ahead and open her up. One thing that I do think would be better about this is, since this is more of an adult collectible than an actual child's plaything, is if they'd done her in like a resealable package, like a lot of the adult collectible figures are nowadays. I always appreciate that. So we got the figure out of the package. Let's have a look at this this piece from the armor. What do they call this again? The divine armor of power. The armor of the king of comics. This Jack Kirby-esque torso. And I'm wondering if these are interchangeable also with the other male figures in this line. Unfortunately, since I have a female figure in Venatica, I wouldn't be able to mix and match the parts if I had have gotten a male figure. But hey, it gives me an excuse to get a male figure, doesn't it? Huh? All right, so let's have a look at that armor, and you can see, like I said, it's got very much that sort of Jack Kirby detail to it. It's especially reminiscent to me of the Celestials in the Eternals, very similar to that, but very New Gods, very Galactus, all that kind of thing. So definitely a great homage to the greatest comic book artist of all time. All right, so let's go ahead and have a look at her accessories. And these are accessories. It looks like she's designed in the same way as Teela, and that she has like slightly smaller hands. So her accessories are going to be a little smaller. Now, Teela and Evelyn, both in the original line, they had kind of closed off hands. So that's why they had these kind of pole accessories. You had to kind of slide in there. But she has gripping hands. They just look kind of like smaller, more feminine versions of Masters of the Universe hands with the thumbs sticking up. So let's go ahead and take a more standard Masters of the Universe figure. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. We're going to borrow Skeletor for a second. And you see, like, when I go to put the weapon in his hand, the handle of it is way too thin for a male Masters of the Universe figure to hold on to. Yeah, you can kind of lean it into his hand a little bit like that, but he's not going to grip it very well. On the other hand, Venatica herself, she has much smaller hands, much more dainty hands, as it were. And she seems to grip it just fine, which is good. And like I said, this is two axes connected together in a chain, the actual metal chain in the middle here. But it seems like they've gotten a little tangled together, so I'm going to try to loosen them up a little bit and shake loose. There's a little kink in it. Hopefully that's just a kink and not a knot. Hopefully the chain didn't somehow get tied in a knot. This is a very delicate chain compared to like a lot of other chains that you would have in a Masters of the Universe figure. Yeah, I was hoping it was just a kink in it, but it looks like it's actually gotten tied into a knot. And that's going to be a little bit more of a production to get untied, unfortunately. So, come on, you bastard. You know what? She's just gonna have a knot in her chain. I don't even care. I'm gonna get it untied later, but I don't want to be sitting here for like 15 minutes struggling with a knot and a chain. So there she is, holding both halves of her weapon. You can have those back behind her there, I guess, if you want to. And there's that. So we can talk about her articulation and her armor and all this kind of stuff. So this headpiece is removable, and this is a very soft plastic. And as I pointed out before, it's kind of like a helmet, almost like a helmet. It's more like She-Ra's crown, but instead of being made out of gold, it's made out of dragon bones. And here's a look at her face underneath, and she's got this kind of headband. And that, to me, it's like it's kind of goldish, and it's got like some detail on it. It doesn't seem to be made out of dragon skin itself. So maybe this is just a headband that she had. Let's look at the comic book again. Maybe this is just a headband that she had before she started slaying dragons. That one's more like a fabric headband that's just kind of tied around her head. She looks very young in this picture, like almost like a child. I think she's supposed to be a child when she slays her first dragon, which is very impressive. But we can remove this armor, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to take off the armor, and I think we're going to have to remove her head to get the breastplate off. And it kind of stuck, like the paint on the breastplate, it is painted, I believe, kind of stuck to the paint on her bikini top. She's got like a green bikini top, and you can see that there actually is like a little, I don't know if that's coming across on the camera. You see that little yellow spot on her bikini top? There's where that comes from. So let's put her head back on. And there is Venatica without her armor, and she's just kind of wearing a simple little bikini. And I kind of figure this would be good for any character that, like, they could put whatever armor over top of it they want to, or somebody could just have her in her bikini, and I think she looks good like that. I mean, like, let's be honest. Jason's Electric is here and says, "Hi, Alan. She looks possessed of some kind of spell." She does actually. If you take a close look at her eyes, they're actually yellow eyes. So help me God, yellow eyes. And like the irises are yellow, and there's a little black pupil in there. So I'm not sure if just like, people naturally have yellow eyes on her home planet of, what was the name of the home planet again? Rupestra. I'm not sure if people just have yellow eyes on Rupestra, or if maybe she is under some kind of spell. So this figure does come apart, and there actually is instructions on the back that shows us how the figure disassembles into the various components, a modular parts list. And here's some cross-all artwork in the comic book, where we have, again, the second wave of Legends of Dragonore and the Warriors of the Galaxy line I was talking about, where we see some of the characters in here. Some of these I haven't even seen yet. So we have Magnon, who's like the He-Man of that line. Yig, it's like a creepy looking dude. And Triton, they're doing a figure of Triton. Triton's one that I always kind of felt like was, like I was saying, how a lot of these are based on Frank Frazetta designs. I kind of figured Triton was based on Frazetta's John Carter. And then Thor, who's a bad guy, looks kind of like a guy dressed up in an old devil costume. And then Baltard, the biggest loser on planet Fair. And shout out to Phalis, who did a lot of great videos on the Galaxy Warriors. We got Huck, who of course is based on the Frank Frazetta Frost Giants painting. Devil, who I'm working on my own custom figure of Devil right now, and Spikes. As far as customs of these figures go, I've done Magnon, I've done Huck, I've done Spikes, and I'm working on Devil, and I've done Baltard. And I also did Sahak, who actually was the only Galaxy Warrior figure that I had when I was a kid. So, but yeah, she does have, I think like the sculpting of her, she has a rather intense facial expression, just the sculpting of her, but the eyes are what really give it that sort of possessed look that you notice there. So yeah, the arms come off, and it says to be careful and not to force these parts when they come off, but you can see, this is what I was talking about. Obviously, she's going to have a much smaller peg for her arm, because she doesn't have like big, massive He-Man arms. She's got more svelte, supple Tila arms. And a lot of these costume bits are sculpted onto the character, like the little arm bands here and the wrist bands. And those kind of remind me a lot of like an African sort of design, like the way that they're an African tribe might have their wristbands. So this is like basically a 5-point of articulation figure. And you can see there's the peg where you take off her leg. So there's no knee articulation. There's no elbow articulation. And they're pretty much just cut joints. They just rotate around. And I was thinking maybe she might have wrist joints, but she doesn't seem to. It seems like this is all kind of one piece here. It would be nice if she had wrist joints. But, since this is supposed to be like an 80s style action figure, I can forgive her for not having wrist joints, since this is old school. But But yeah, here's a look at the back of the figure. That's what she looks like from the back. And she kind of reminds me a little bit of was it Valerie on Dungeons and Dragons, which she had like a kind of a like little barbarian type costume. She kind of reminds me a little bit of her. So and then the bottom of her feet are completely flat, and she's got little peg holes so you can have her stand. She is barefoot. So if you're a customizer like me and you want a barefoot character, a barefoot female character for your Master Universe for whatever reason, maybe you're like Quentin Tarantino, or maybe you just think that that's an interesting look. And like I said, she's a black lady. She's rather a light-skinned black lady, I would say, but she is a black lady nevertheless, and she's got short braids that are kind of tied back. So this might be a good basis. I might consider buying another one of these. She might be a good basis to actually make a Zula figure, like I was talking about before, and the Grace Jones character in Conan. But I do think she's a little thick for that, because Grace Jones was very sort of slender and very toned, and she's got a little bit more of that Frank Frazetta thing going on, if you know what I mean. So not that there's anything wrong with that. There's a reason why Frank Frazetta is my favorite artist of all time. But yeah, they did a nice job with the sculpting of this figure. They did a nice job with the paint job. She's got some green face paint, like little dots on her face, and then she's got like a green line that comes down from her lower lip and then goes all the way down her chin, which you can see there. And she's got some big old dangly yellow earrings. I'm guessing since this is like an 80s style toy, the yellow on the earrings and the yellow on the bracelets, those are probably actually supposed to be gold in the reality of this figure, but they used yellow paint, probably because back in the 80s they would have used yellow paint. Oh, there is a point of articulation here at the she does have a boot cut, so it does rotate all around. See where these laces on her calves start? Those rotate all the way around, so that's nice. So she does have some extra articulation there. Yeah, it's weird to me though that they would put articulation at the boot cut, but not at the wrist, which I would think it would be more important. But like I said, to me, it looks like this is all one solid piece. And if it is just where the paint's sticking it together, it's sticking it really well. But you can see there's a little bit of overspray. I don't know if that's coming across the camera, but there's a little bit of overspray here, which tells me that absolutely is one piece. So there's that. Let's go ahead and put her back together now. Well, we can like formally go over articulation, right? We should probably do that. So her head rotates all the way around, and her arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders. And then she's got a waist articulation, and that rotates all the way around. And then Venatica can kick up about that far, and her leg goes back about that far. She's kind of got like part of her buttocks sculpted into her thighs, which, the way that she's articulated, which is based on the articulation of the original Tila, but it doesn't have a rubber band there holding it together. It's just, like I said, like I pointed out before, it's just pegs that hold it together. So it's really just like a cut joint there. But still, like the way that the leg fits in aesthetically, it's supposed to look like the way that Tila's leg fit into that original figure. So that's probably why they felt the need to sculpt this back there the way that they did. So anyway, it's not bad articulation considering what it's supposed to be, but it's definitely not up to the standards that modern action figures are articulated at. So whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think that's entirely up to your perspective, like whatever your point of view is there. Personally, I knew that when I bought this was supposed to be like an 80s style action figure, and I honestly wasn't expecting much more than that. The only thing that I can say that I was kind of expecting, as I said before, is I was expecting she might have some wrist joints, and then she wound up not having wrist joints. And if there was one suggestion that I would make to the toy makers, that I would suggest to Formo Toys, if they asked for my advice on it, is that I would say that I think that adding some wrist articulation to this figure would really make her sing as far as the articulation goes. And look at that. I got the chain loose now. So There we go. Once I got over the important aspects of this figure, once we talked about all of that, then I felt like I could devote a little bit of time to getting that chain straightened out. So why don't we go ahead and get her armored up again, and that way we can have her ready for the thumbnail picture, which is going to be the next step. So I'm going to put the armor back, and that gives us a good excuse to talk about this armor. So this armor is mostly painted yellow, and it does have like a little bit of airbrushing down there, a little bit of orange airbrushing to give it some texture. And she's got, again, those sort of rings around the neck in a very tribal African kind of style, and like a little bit of a what looks like a beaded necklace, maybe. And mostly this is made from bones and claws and teeth and the hide of, I guess, the first dragon she ever killed. And you know, that gives me another reason to get another one of these for a custom. Is it almost kind of reminds me of Merman a little bit, like Merman's armor. It's very similar to that. So if I wanted to do like a female of Merman's species, like this would probably be some good armor to put onto a female Merman character, I think. And then her loincloth again is it's that yellow. It's painted yellow. It looks like it's painted to me. And then it's got a little bit of orange airbrushing on there to give it some texture. And then some white kind of dragon fangs, dragon claws strung along her belt. And there's this little square peg and hole that you plug into to get it together. So that's how that works. And last but not least, her crown, headdress, whatever you want to call this thing. And there she is, all armored up. And then we can give her her axes. And she is ready for battle. I'm putting that too high. She is going to be ready for battle once we get that taken care of. Ready to go out and slay more dragons, or perhaps befriend them. Maybe she'll learn that the real dragon slaying was the friends we made along the way. Maybe she'll wind up realizing that not all dragons are bad, and that maybe she was misjudging the dragons when she hated all of them, and that some dragons are actually worthy of her respect and her admiration, and maybe even her friendship. Yep, there's that thunder again. So it's definitely kicking up now. Hopefully that will bring us some cool weather. Hopefully it won't be the sort of thing where it's just enough to make it humid and it's still hot. I really don't like that. Anyway, that's it for Venatica. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the other fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Venatica and this line of figures in general. And if you're watching this in the replay, please let me know if you've picked up any of these Legends Dragonore figures or any of Formo Toys Warriors of the Galaxy figures. Let me know what you think about this toy company in general. I thought about buying one of these for a while, and I had been making my own custom Galaxy Warriors figures, so I'm like, do I really need to buy one that somebody else made that's not, like, I already have Huck and I already have, Magnon, my own versions. But I did like a lot of these, a lot of their takes on the characters, and I did like a lot of these designs, so I definitely wanted to pick one of these up, and I wound up picking her up because, not even that I thought she was the best looking figure, but I thought she, out of all the Legends of Dragonore figures, she was the one that best filled a niche that I felt like was unfilled in my own Masters of the Universe collection, and I definitely think she's going to fit in with those figures just fine. But let me know what if you've got any of these other figures. Let me know which ones you like and which ones you don't like, and if you're enjoying this line, and what. Let me have some suggestions as to which one you think I should pick up next. I'm leaning towards the Moss Man looking guy because I think that should be a fun video more than anything else. But all those figures on the cross-sell artwork on the back look pretty cool to me. Anyway, Al Davis says cheers. We'll talk to you next time, Al. We'll talk to all of you next time. Hope you enjoyed the show. Take care. Bye.